Hey guys, welcome. So let's get this thing started. I have to again remember to look into the camera. So another live stream. I kind of was thinking of like I can make a video or I can do a live stream, and I was following Dr. Z's 12 streams of Christmas, and he mentioned he wasn't able to stream tonight. So he's like, maybe some other YouTuber should stream. Is like, I'll try, no promises, but here we are, and well, I made it. Let me rearrange my screen here a little bit. Nope, that's not working. There we go. So, I haven't really got a topic prepared like last time. I have some stuff I want to talk about, but this is mainly about you guys. If you have any questions regarding LEDs or servers, ZFS, networking, or any other topic I normally discuss on my channel, let's hear your questions, and I'll try and answer them, and let's discuss those, and, well, just have a good time hanging out. So let's see who's all here in the chat. First we got Peter B. I guess he won the first. And then we have Mr. Fat. Nice. And then we have Matthijs Strik. He's obviously Dutch because he's asking when it starts. Well, it starts right now. Venkat Reddy. I think he just joined the Discord server. Jeff Hammer. I know he's been subscribed for a long time. And he actually made it quite well in regards to timing and stuff like that. So that's awesome. Seems to work good. Oh, FPOL, are you still having timing sync issues or something like that? How is the audio for everyone and well, I guess the visuals and stuff like that? Ron Hernaus is here. I know I've known Ron for, I don't know, 15 years, long time. Nice, and I'm ill, now I watch you live stream, nice. Oh, you're sick at home? Okay, well I hope you get better soon, Mr. Fat. Good evening from Tilburg. Hi there, my brother lives in Tilburg, that's cool. IP cameras, any experience with full color ones, especially interested in good night vision? Well, it really depends regarding IP cameras, who you ask. I'm of the side that says, okay, if it's night and there's little light available, I use IR, so infrared, to light up the scene. And that way I don't really need good night vision because there's, well, invisible light lighting up the scene. So I use IR. Another bunch of people is like, no, with IR you can't identify faces, and especially on the cheaper cameras it's always washed out and stuff like that, and they want high night sensitivity cameras. And nowadays you have newer models that are indeed full color, but the trade-off to that is that those are always lower resolution, because I've explained this in some of my videos. If you have a sensor which is, well, this big, and you have 8 million pixels for 4K, or you have 2 million pixels for 1080p, well, each of those 1080p pixels will be basically twice as big in 2 dimensions as a 4K pixel will be. So in that regard, it can receive more light and will do better during the night. I haven't tested those new full color models yet, but even with those, you'll still have to provide light, be it a light bulb or a street light or something adding light to the scene, because those can still not see in full darkness. And I rather have 8 megapixels for any other scene than night than having 2 megapixels all the time and having maybe a bit better night vision. So that's my opinion about it. I haven't tested the full color models yet. I'll see if I can get a hold of one maybe in the future sometime, and I'll do a comparison test, of course. But right now, not yet. I hope that answers your question, though. Let's see. FPOL, no problem anymore. Good. Can you speak a bit about yourself, where you're from, and what do you do for a living? Sure, okay. I'm Andries in real life, but I think more people know me by Quinn by now than my real name. I live in the Netherlands, in Noord-Brabant. I live close to Den Bosch. And so, well, I'm from the Netherlands in Europe. I officially speak Dutch, but I'm not sure I rather speak English. I rather write English, though. And I started my YouTube channel in English just to get a broader audience. My work is in IT. I guess most people would have figured that. But I mostly work with big storage systems and backup solutions. So if you want to build a few hundred terabytes, few petabyte storage solution, or you want to back that up, you have that already, but you have a SAN or NAS or whatever, and you need backups for that, I'm your guy. So, yeah. Lately I've been working with Veritas. I've been working with Veritas NetBackup for 15 years. But lately I've been doing some Commvault, and I'm doing some new installs using Rubrik. Actually, in January, we're deploying a Cloudian S3 storage. So that's S3, but then on-premise, but it's really scale out and cheap for the amount of terabytes you can get. So enterprise storage, basically. And I have some knowledge about VMs and VMware and networking because of the LAN party stuff and all things surrounding that. So, yeah, that's basically what I do during the day. And then during the night, I always film at night. I do YouTube, and I have my LAN party stuff and things like that. Let's see. Any luck with X lights and the Christmas tree? I have vacation this week, but I actually haven't gotten around to it. There's been lots of other stuff going around that needed my attention. So when I'm finally able to sit down a little bit and relax, I'll look into that and see if I can make some cool effects, and then maybe share it on YouTube. We'll see. I'm new here, first timer. Hello everyone. Hello 4 tracks. Welcome. On cheap cameras, yes, IR is crap. Get good Starlight ones. Way better than any kind of color. Yeah, but I actually don't use the Starlight ones because those are basically 2 megapixels. I know they have some new 4 and 5 megapixel ones. So it's always a trade-off of having better night vision with low light, but then you'll have worse vision during the day because it's lower megapixel, or having good vision during the day, or better, and then lower at night. And I kind of go the high megapixel route with IR, and that works well in my situation, basically. Actually, we can, I have some more IP camera stuff I can show you. I was going to make a video about it, but maybe that's nice during the live stream. Let me put it on my list. I can at least show you what happened, because, one of my cameras, it's kaput. Wait, okay. Did I understand correctly that you are going to make a video about Proxmox? I know the doctor has one, but it's already a bit older. I've made lots of videos about Proxmox, not so much Home Assistant related per se, but I am going to do some content in that into that area, probably sometime next year. But I'll have to see about that on which topics. So, when do you make a video of your heating system and look for a nice thermostat in Node Red? Yes, that's actually one of the things I want to try and do during my vacation time, is pick up that topic again and actually deploy it, because I've been testing and building it off and on over the last year. But I need some time to actually sit down and do it. So hopefully in the next few weeks, but I can't make any promises. So 5 volt 900 LED. How to go about sizing the power supply? How many amps? RGB. So that's RGB neutral white plus 5 meter. Is that analog or digital LED you're looking for, Jeff Hammer? Let me add that to the list too, because that's an interesting topic. We can discuss some cases. LED power injection dock. Sorry for my keyboard. Thanks, good answer. So trade-offs, less sharp images at night. I have color or sharp images with iron. Yeah, that's correct, Jeroen. Thanks for doing YouTube in English and your tech. Easier for me to understand. Yeah, I bet if I did all this in Dutch, as I said, the audience would just be a lot smaller. And actually, for anything IT related or writing, I prefer English anyway, so it comes kind of natural. Thoughts on Veeam? Ah, that's a good one. Veeam was a player that surfaced about 5 years ago. I've tinkered with it a little bit. I've not installed it professionally, but I've played with it and done some stuff with it. Veeam is pretty cool. Their claims that they are an enterprise backup software package that scales basically to the really big enterprises, and we're talking like thousands of VMs and stuff like that. I think they jumped the gun on that a little bit. It's definitely getting better in new versions, but if we compare that to like NetBackup or Rubrik or even Commvault, their backup facilities for large enterprises are just a lot better. And if we're talking about like deduplication engines and stuff like that, basically you can start Veeam small with some cheap storage under it, and it says it does deduplication, but it doesn't really, because every job deduplicates only the same job, not a different one, and it becomes one big mess. So basically, if you want to scale Veeam, you have to buy like a data domain or a quantum DXI, yeah, and to do the deduplication for Veeam. But then you basically have built a more expensive solution than with the other software packages. So I just don't see the scaling in Veeam in that regard. Well, that's my opinion. Hope that helps. I've actually been able to join for a change. Hey, CW Fire. CW. V is Dutch, sorry. CW Fire. Hello, everyone. I'm from South Texas, USA. Cool. Okay. I've been to Texas like 6 times, maybe 7. That was like years ago, but yeah, I visited there a lot. Hello, everyone. Okay. I was wondering what's your opinion about Proxmox versus VMware? Any reason to preference one above the other? Sure. Okay. If we're talking real enterprise, go VMware. All the integrations it has, the knowledge that's out there, and the stability, VMware is awesome. But if we're talking home networking, I will guide everyone to Proxmox. Some of the reasons for that is, of course, Proxmox can be run for free. The free version of VMware is very limited, and anything you want to do API-based or vSAN-based, or even installing vCenter, making clones, whatever, that's all limited in the free editions of VMware. So if you run it at home, officially, it's very limited. If you can get some cheap licenses, it can be okay. But if you then want to also host your storage in VMware, yes, you can do that with pass-through and stuff like that. But as some of you might know, I'm a big fan of ZFS. And if you want to run ZFS with VMware, you either have to do that on a separate box, or you have to do it with pass-through and disks and things like that. And I don't really like those solutions. I've tinkered with it in the past, but you always get an issue at some point. So Proxmox has Debian under it, so it's very easy to manage if you know Debian-based Linux. And it has lots of facilities that come with it because of that. So my normal tooling I like to use, ZFS natively integrated, including booting. You can run Ceph, you can run Cluster, you can build a 2-node cluster if you want, 3-node, 4-node, whatever. There's no costs involved if you don't want to pay them. If you do use it a lot, I suggest you buy at least one license. Yeah, so it does more. It can be your NAS box and still be Proxmox for some virtual machines. And with VMware, it takes a lot more and nested and stuff and things like that. So I converted at home fully over to Proxmox, but then I have some nested ESX hosts to use when I do more VM testing, like for my work, for all these different backup software packages and to test VMware backups. So yeah, so it really depends. In the enterprise, there's no contest. Maybe in a small shop that starting out doesn't have a lot of money, you can run Proxmox, but in a real enterprise, you kind of want VMware, I think. And of course, there's Hyper-V and KVM management tools and all kinds of other stuff, but VMware is pretty good and very nice for what it is. So, yeah. Let's see here. Kind of ranted about that. I watched your house videos. Was wondering for which purpose you've been using those 50 tubes ending above your rack space. Well, that's where all the cabling throughout the house go in. I don't think you can see it. Well, I mean, even in the back there, 8 tubes end up. So I can run fiber or copper. There's copper in there right now. And then I have some more there. So even to this room alone, 10 pipes run from that part to here. And then to all the rooms in the house and outside and for my IP cameras and access points and stuff like that. Now, there was a slight... there's not much I do differently in the build of the house, except I pulled 2 conduits for every 2 Cat7 cables I wanted to put in. And in the end, we were able to get it into 1 conduit, a 3/4 inch, without too much trouble. So I could have gone with less network pipes, but we just didn't know that while building. Now we do. But it's okay. They're in there. They're not going anywhere. And if I ever need to pull a cable from somewhere to somewhere, hey, I've got that covered. So, Rustin Halbert. We're using ReFS and Veeam, and we're seeing some good dedupe. Okay, cool. We're a smaller shop, though. ReFS is the Microsoft offering, right? I believe so, yeah. As I said, I don't have too much hand-on experience with Veeam, and I mostly work in the larger enterprise. So, like, starting at 1,000 VMs and 40 hosts or whatever, something like that. Yeah. What is your suggestion about 16 or 25 hot swap base budget server case? Well, check out my videos. I did a video on a Intertech case, and it's not back here anymore, but I have a whole series about that video. There's a playlist which takes you along all those videos. Well, I really like the Internet case. I did lots of stuff in it. I modified it slightly and things like that. It's excellent. I can certainly recommend it. Of course, it's harder to get in the US, but if you're here in Europe, definitely check that out. On the topic Proxmox, how well would you find it run like these Blue Iris or NX Witness? I know as I run my NX Witness VM on a two logical CPU core VM with 1 or 2 gigs of memory, and it's running 10 4K 15 frames per second cameras. So no problems there. I also did the same on VMware though, so that's fine. If you need to do some video card pass-through, you don't need to do that for NX Witness. But for like Proxmox, for Blue Iris or maybe Plex, there's guides on both systems for that, and I think that works equally well. Yeah, no opinion there really. I think NVRs can run fine on both, so yeah. Yeah, that's correct, Horst Zimmerman. I actually used to do white boxes for VMware and had to get these special drivers and stuff like that. But nowadays with Proxmox, if it's supported in the kernel, in the Debian kernel or in the Ubuntu kernel, I think they actually have the Ubuntu kernel, but then it just works out of the box. And for instance, here in my home, I have Intel X540s, Mellanox Connect X3s, and a Quantia NICs for running 10 gig. And, well, they just all work out of the box, no problem whatsoever. So, yeah, that's true. Sure, Jos. Yo-Jos Gerrit. Is there a Latin Spanish-speaking community like in the Netherlands? That's a good question. If there is, I'm not part of one, so I'm the wrong person to ask. Paul Thomas, my man! Hey there, Paul! I'd be running it on something like a Fujitsu Primer G. The towers are quite a nice form factor. Okay, cool. Yeah, that can work. run a stack of Proxmox servers in my lab at work. I think 10 servers. Nice. Okay, with 2 VMs total. What? per server, or what's going on there? Okay. I guess that's most of the questions for now. I have some subjects prepared or something that I want to talk about. Basically, well, 56 people here. That's nice. We've hit 18,000 subscribers. And I just wanted to say thank you. That's because of you all. And I'm really happy with that. And yeah, it keeps me going. And we're gaining about 1,000 subscribers a month. The Discord server is also gaining a lot of subscribers, so that's cool too. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying everyone's comments on the videos, and I'm just enjoying myself. So I just want to say thank you for subscribing and staying subscribed, even though, and I'd like you guys' opinion about that. My channel is kind of diverse because last few weeks I've been doing all LED videos. And then now we just started in the stream talking about ZFS, Proxmox, and VMware. And I'm actually planning some content on some phone chargers again, which I did which I started my channel out with. There won't be a lot of videos about that anymore, but some. And I have lots of diverse topics. What do you guys think about that? Is that a good thing for a channel, or do you rather enjoy channels which have basically one topic and stick to that? I'm just curious. I mean, you subscribed here for probably a video, so a topic, and then there's suddenly videos about other topics too. So I'm wondering what you guys think about that, and if that's a good thing for you, or a bad thing, or you just skip the topics and videos you're not interested in. Let me know in the chat. Congress, what I mean with the latest update in Proxmox, you can change network config on the host without reading. Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Joe. I want to understand how you design boards, because that's magic to me. Yeah, that's a bit much to get into in a live stream. Maybe a dedicated live stream at some point. I have been thinking... I've been keeping my Gerber files for myself because I've had really bad experience with that in the past. I've talked about this a few times already. But I've been thinking of maybe going through the designs on stream at some point. Not this stream, but let me know if you'd like to see that, and just talking about the designs and some decisions I made and how things are connected, stuff like that. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Or walkthrough of your current boards, why and hows. As I said, maybe in a different stream. But that is actually... I'm going to write that down. See, if you guys give me good ideas in comments or whatever, I write those down. I do listen. Live stream about current board designs, why and hows. Thanks, Paul. That's a good suggestion. Different topics are good. I found about PoE, but I watched all videos and every one of them is useful. Thanks, John Doe. Thank you. Multiple topics, at least you have something to tell. Not to have a topic for no reason. No, yeah, these are all things I'm basically interested in myself, and I do some more work to work them out, and then basically make a video around it and tell people what I think about them or how to do something. It's basically all the things I'm interested in myself, and then I try to convey that to you guys. So, cool. Yes. Okay, I'm guessing you guys agreed with the previous comments. I would love to watch something like a board video, live or recorded. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we did the 18,000 subscriber thing. I'm going to keep going with that, and if you guys like and comment on the video, that helps, because the YouTube algorithm is like, oh, this guy is making nice videos. And maybe share in your own communities if it's like you have a discussion with a colleague or something like that, and you're like, hey, this guy made a video about that. Maybe, that always helps. So, more desk videos. Oh, I knew someone would start about that. The desk project is still ongoing. I've done some attempts. They've kind of failed. And I will reinvigorate this project in the new year. How's that? Let's make a new board that will run WLED with many outputs. Well, I have a board that is designed for that. It's called a QuinLED-Dig-Uno. I've never released it yet because basically there's a lack of software which can take advantage of that. So the QuinLED-Dig-Uno is actually secretly a QuinLED-Dig-Duo, just nobody knows because I called it an Uno. But basically there's two GPIO outputs that go through the screw terminals because I wanted to have the ability to run APA 102, which has a separate clock and data signal. But if you use WS2812B or 2815, you can use both those terminals to run two strips separately. But as I said, most software, including WLED for now, does not support that. So even on the QuinLED-Dig-Uno, as a secret, now you guys know, you can run two strips. But I'm looking into making a many strips board. I have designed stuff for that in the past, but I kind of want to beef it up before I release it. Add some features I did also to the QuinLED-Dig-Uno. That's also why the QuinLED-Dig-Uno, if we check on the website, I'm not sure anyone's ever noticed that. The actual hardware version of the current board is version 2, revision 5, because I never released version 1. So yeah. So it's called an Uno, but it's actually a Duo if you want to use it with WS2812, 15, SK6812, stuff like that. So, but yes, I am thinking of releasing a board in the future which will have multiple channel outputs. And also, I've been thinking about making a board. If you check my Christmas video, for instance, if you need to do power splicing, which you often do with 5 volt, I use external connection blocks to splice those power points. But I've been thinking, why do I do that if I know I'm often going to need 2 or 3 outputs on a single board to run like 5 or 6 meters of strip or whatever? I'm going to look into making those terminals on the board so you can basically run your power wires from the board, fused and everything, and not need an external block anymore. But that's quite a design I need to make for that. So that's all future talk, but more boards are certainly coming. I've been working on my QuinLED. What? Now I'm confused in my own naming scheme. There. The QuinLED Deca Pro. I've actually been working on that yesterday, but there's still some issues with that board, so that's not going to be released anytime soon. While we're on this topic, am I going to mention this? Yes, well, I've mentioned this in a few comments already. I've been working with a PCB house to get assembly done on the QuinLED-Dig-Uno. I think I mentioned it last live stream too. And work has been progressing in that. I've been working on it for a few months now. And we're really close. I'm hoping to have the boards finished this year still. And so I can list them at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. As it's looking right now, they'll be under $30. Under $30, and I'm trying to make them closer to 25 or 27 if I can. So if you've been looking for a pre-assembled QuinLED-Dig-Uno board, well, just a little bit more waiting, but those should arrive. Kind of lost what I was talking about. Let me see here. If I start doing cooking videos, I don't think I'll start doing cooking videos, Kevin. Maybe as a gag at some point, but not regularly. Let's make a new board. Oh, I had done already. So, how small a solder tip required to build a Dig-Uno board? Myself, I have a gun and a solder pencil. Fine, you don't really need a special tip. it's mainly just pin headers and some SMD components. You can solder those just fine using a pen, or if you have a hot air gun, like, you know, I've got a really basic one, that's even better, because that makes soldering SMD only even easier. So yeah, he can cook a board. Well, I've cooked boards before. Let's not go there. I would like to order Dig-Uno boards. Well, hey Charlie, we just talked about that. So small tips help, tweezers help more. Yeah, that's true. Is there a link for pre-filled Ali shopping cart with everything done? AliExpress doesn't offer a feature like that, Ron. I wish they did. I've actually been talking to sellers to basically make a kit of all the components they need, so people just can order that link. But I haven't had much success with that yet. So no. Right now you have to scroll through the hardware article, add all these separate items to your cart, and then just pay for your cart. So it's a little bit more work, I realize that, but it's not much I can do about it right now. 57 people here and 4 likes. Smash the button, y'all. Thanks, Dale. That's awesome. 10 likes now, so I guess that worked. Yes, the disk project. Missing lost parts. The disk still isn't in its right... It's not even in the correct room right now, so it's back there in the garage. I'm getting close to purchasing the NX Witness, the US version. I'll have to rewatch your videos, but do you remember if you go over setup? Motion detector notification? Somewhat. I do, I'm not sure which video either, but I do do some basic installs, and it might be sped up, but you can at least see what I'm doing to do some basic setup stuff. Also mounting a storage volume from an NFS share and stuff like that. So I like all your topics and enjoy all your videos. Thank you, Charlie. That's nice to hear. Home assistant heating question. Did you try, or is it possible to work with DHT and ESP01s? Yes, John Doe, that is certainly possible, and I started out that way, but I quickly realized that the amount of time to build self-built sensors and thermometers and calibrate them, because especially the items you get from China, those are all kinds of whack. So, I mean, I can put 5 next to each other, and they'll read different values from -2 to +2 over the board. So you'll have to really calibrate them with a good thermometer and then test them in multiple situations and make corrections for that. And then you have to build little boxes. You have to power those. And in the end, I realized if I can buy a thermometer or thermometer and a humidity meter for $10 a piece, which run on battery for a year, and I can connect them using Bluetooth on 2.4 gigahertz to an ESP32, which I already have around the house anyway, and it just didn't make sense anymore to build it myself. I'm all for DIY. I already halfway started designing a PCB to put all this stuff on. But the amount of hassle involved, if there's a ready-made product that's perfect and does it better than I can make it myself, because the temperature sensors in those Xiaomi sensors, for instance, they're really good. And they're factory calibrated, really good. And if you have 10 of them next to each other, they might differ 0.1 or 0.2, but that's it. And they update quick enough. And yeah, I understand the allure to go DIY for everything, but if there's a better pre-built solution because of mass production, I'll probably go that route. So yeah, I started my dimmers because there wasn't one. And there actually still isn't. So that's why I build those boards, but I don't build others. So yeah. Your mix is good as it is. Thank you, Frederick. I helped to build the board during Christmas holidays. I hope you get all the components in FPOL. That's always a bit of an issue, but just a little tip. If you're shopping on AliExpress, and you can use my links, of course, but if you want to use a different shop for the same components, that's fine. That actually still gives me affiliate commission if you go through my link first. But check out how do you say that? Be cautious about the Yangwang shipping. Hold on, I'm going to open it on my other computer. What's it called again? So if I get items with AliExpress standard or express shipping, but even standard, I mostly get it in 2, maybe 3 weeks, but mostly in 2. Yeah, but if you get stuff through Yanwen, let me just type it. Yanwen economic shipping. That stuff takes ages. I mean, months. So I've had stuff that's been on its way for like 2 months, and I mostly get it, but 2 months is just too long. So I try to avoid Yanwen economic shipping and use AliExpress standard shipping. Sometimes you pay a little bit more, but then at least you'll have it in a few weeks instead of a few months. So yeah. Use them as sensors. Would be nice to have some small breakout boards to power remote smaller boards, something like the Falcon F16. Yeah, even if I could design it, maybe. I'm not going that far right now. I still have a day job, and I do these boards and everything in videos and everything as a hobby. And if I start designing boards only, well, there's going to be no more videos and vice versa. So it's a mix of everything, and I try to spend my time when I can. So I don't think I'm going to build a whole Falcon ecosystem like that. But more boards are certainly coming. I have lots of ideas. So, oh, wait a minute. Where did everything go? Problem here, soldering a second QuinLED-Dig-Uno. Just soldered it and didn't work. Found out that the diode was not soldered on one side, but in the process of removing it, ripped off the copper. Oh, that sucks, Dirk. That actually leads me to a topic. Let me change the camera real quick. There we go. That should work, I hope. Let's see. I actually updated my Deca. Nope, not over there. Over here? Yeah. There we go. I actually updated my Deca and my QuinLED quad design. So they've been minor improvements. I actually made a... No, that's the wrong one. This one. A revision history link on the QuinLED.info website. So basically what I did, I listed the previous revisions, and I changed the diode, because the diode I used on those 2 designs, I used the same one. That thing was just way too small and hard to solder and incomparable where it needs to go. And okay, well, I learned from my newer boards. So now we're using these big SS24 diodes. Here it is. There's little stripes on the board how to orient it. So that's a lot better. I updated some of the footprints involved, especially for the temperature sensor. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it on the camera. Well, especially not if we're in this mode. Let me go back. Hold on. Come on, disk. There we go. So I updated the footprint for the diode, as I said, and for the temperature sensor. So those have become much easier to solder. And what else did I do? Oh, I removed ground to the screw holes. And then mostly in the quad, I did some layout optimizations to even allow for more power usage. Or power through the board, actually. So yeah, small updates there, but that actually took a lot of work because I had to redo the whole hardware pages. I verified all the links. I had to put the board designs up on dirty PCBs and on PCBWay. So all my designs are now available on PCBWay next to dirty PCBs for people who want to order them. And especially with e-packet shipping, their deal can be a lot better than dirty PCBs, especially if you're using ordering for the first time. Make sure to use the affiliate link to create your login account. That really helps me out. Yeah, so everything's now available on PCBWay and on dirty PCBs. Both its quality is the same. It kind of depends where you are, what shipping does for you, and pricing. So basically check both and order where it's cheapest, I guess. Yeah, so small updates, lots of work, small updates. But that just improves these boards. So that's one of the things I wanted to mention. Let's see here. Let's go back to questions. No, let's go back to my camera. There we go. Repair possible. If you ripped off the copper pad, you can try and make a connection, and if it sticks, it's good, but otherwise, I'm not sure what to tell you. Any thoughts on having option to order from vendor with SMD stuff pre-soldered, then users can only... Yeah, I'm really surprised some Chinese vendor hasn't stolen your boards yet and listed on AliExpress. I am too. I know Brian Lowe. I'm not sure I'm saying his name correctly. His boards got ripped off, so that's good. That sucks. They actually made some improvements to his boards too. So, I mean, yeah, that sucks when that happens. Again, I'm not sharing my Gerber files publicly, and there's several reasons why, but stolen designs, people to sell your designs commercially, and then allowing you to do the support, people trying to sell them as a whole board commercially, and then again sending them to me like, hey, this doesn't work, or you have to help me fix this because I bought it. And I'm like, well, you didn't buy it from me because somebody ripped it off. And I've had all kinds of troubles from that in the past, and I'm really into helping people. If you join the Discord, if you have a problem soldering the board, come to the Discord and I'll spend hours with you trying to figure it out, as I've been doing. But yeah, if it's just somebody trying to make a quick buck off of you, that's why I don't publicly share my Gerbers anymore. And I know people ask for them, but I try to do my best to get the designs out there and to make it easy for people, and I just hope people understand. So, yeah. I still haven't received my Dig-Uno for PCBWay, ordered on 8 November. What kind of shipping did you use, Philippe Go? If you used slow shipping, sometimes, especially in this time of year, it can be slow. If PCBWay, dirty PCBs, it's all from China, so... Any chance on releasing complete board kits? I like to do the soldering myself, but I don't like all the extra components. Okay. As I said earlier, not right now. I am looking into it, and but it's harder actually than getting pre-assembled boards. So I'm doing that first, and then I'll start looking into making kits again, or making some other designs like these available pre-assembled. But yeah, kits. The problem with kits is I'd like to make kits, and then I'd have to order everything in bulk. I pay lots of shipping, and I pay a giant amount of import tax. Then I have to sort it out. That's fine. And then I have to spend the time to put it all in bags and ship them to everyone, in which I will be paying export tax again. So now the components you receive are actually 2.5 to 3 times more expensive than if you would have bought them directly. So basically, you can better buy them directly, because yes, you get 10 or 20 of something, but if I send you 5, it's the same. You're paying the same price. So that's the trouble with that. So I'm trying to work out something in China or some other partner who can make kits for that, but as of yet, not yet. I used a cookbook. I used to cook boards hand drawn in. Okay, yeah, I never went that route. I did some proto boards, but PCB making has become a lot better in the last few years, so that's why I did that. Just got my Dig-Uno boards. Cool, Kevin. Thanks for the explanation. Pre-assembled boards are even better. Yeah. Okay, well, that's I can get that. Make a video about the failures of the desk. Once it's there, I'll do that. Yes, I will do that. Hey Frank, dogs, it would be what? Hey Frank, dogs, it would be dogs for me, but I don't mind cats. You're on the wrong channel, bro. Is Frank here? Did he say something? Oh, there's Frank. Hey Frank. Yeah, that's okay. Don't mind being late. Welcome. So yeah, I don't have cats or dogs. I don't have a Stream Deck or any advanced streaming technologies like Frank has. I can wave my arms like this, but no. It was ePacket. Okay, ePacket to the Netherlands at least only takes 2, maybe 3 weeks at most. So if you can track it, see where it gets stuck maybe. Problem is I have the older version of the Quad and Deca. Yeah, well, not much has changed. The basic functionality is the same, Dirk. Only thing I can tell you, maybe salvage the components you can and use one of the other PCBs. You got a bunch, so yeah. Me and my friend made many PCB boards for high-end aquarium lighting, and almost all of them showed up in China-made lighting. Okay, Dale. Damn. Well, that sucks. Because, well, they can always do it cheaper, so... as of yet, I haven't found any of my board designs anywhere else. Well, since I've been protecting my Gerbers. But yeah. Just found the channel the other day. Great work. Can the QuinLED quad be set up to revert to previous state on power up? Yes, if you run ESPHome, it will, I believe it will save the state, or basically when it boots, it connects to Home Assistant so quickly that you don't really notice it, but I think you can set a predetermined state or last state. So check out ESPHome, because that's basically the software I advise to run on these boards, and I believe it can do that. I have the boards in till 3 weeks. Okay. Started to think I got lost on the way. Oh, they got lost on the way, the boards, Philip? Yeah. Felipe? Yeah. My order from Dirty PCBs was placed on 2nd November, delivered today. Okay, so that's 6 weeks almost. Damn. Yeah. I tried to warn everywhere that slow shipping is really slow shipping. I now have 3 switches on a Quinn LED. Did we talk about that on the Discord, Mr. Fat? I think we did. I remember the question. I'm not sure. I don't remember if it was you, though. I think so. We gave the Gerbers out freely on forums. Was our fault? Our fault. Yeah, so I guess you can then understand why I don't put out the Gerber files publicly anymore, Dale. Because China and everyone else will try and rip you off and sell what you spent weeks, months, years even sweating on, and they'll just $10 on top of it and profit for them. So yeah. I use it for bed light, also controlling more lights in house. Cool. Okay. I have to figure out things about LED and the Quinn LED board. I'm pretty new to the stuff, though I'm interested. If I watched all the LEDs videos, will I have then a better understanding of it? Oh yes. If you watch the Quinn LED playlist, it'll teach you everything you need to know, from connecting it to Home Assistant, how to build the boards, what the boards do, why I made the boards, digital LEDs, analog LEDs, and of course there's QuinLED.info if you'd rather read about most of this stuff. I also have like a video about voltage drop, and there's on QuinLED.info, for instance. I actually don't know if many people know this, but per board design, so let's take the a quad, for instance. I've made these diagrams. So basically, let's say you have a 25 volt constant voltage supply. You supply that to a Quinn LED quad, and then you have a single strip hooked up, and if it's 24 volt, you can mostly go to 2.5 meters, and you don't have to deal with voltage drop and stuff like that too much. So then if you want to hook up 2 strips to a quad, I made all these diagrams showing certain examples. For instance, this is with an RGBW strip. And, well, for advanced stuff, I use the external blocks. And then if you want to run a 5 meter strip of 24 volt, for instance, you have to feed it at the beginning and at the end. So I made a diagram for that. It quickly becomes confusing as a diagram. I understand that. But another option, which people often overlook, is that if you want to run 5 meters, in this scenario, power comes from here and comes from... Can you see my mouse cursor? I don't think you can. Okay. Anyway, power comes from the left and comes from the right. So it travels about 2.5 meters before it meets in the middle. One of the things you can do is you can actually connect the cables in the middle. You'll have to do some soldering and maybe some heat shrink and stuff like that. But then it flows outward 2.5 meters, and that will save you half of the wiring. So the effect will be the same, because power never has to travel further through the strip, because that's where the voltage drop occurs, further than 2.5 meters. And that way you can have less cables, and but you have to do a little bit of work on that. Same for RGBW strip. Then if we're talking 10 meter strips, if you want to go wild, There's downsides to that, because then you'll have to feed it at the front, the middle, and the end. Now, this is all for analog LED strip, but as I said, I have these things. Sorry about that. I have these things per board. So here again, we have the QuinLED-Dig-Uno. So we're feeding positive, negative, and data in the middle. And this is for 1 to 3 meters, or actually, it's more dependent on how many LEDs you use. And this is, for instance, a 5-volt example. So then if you want to do 1 to 5 meters or 180 LEDs, you basically feed it data at the beginning, power and positive and negative, and then also feed it at the back. And then if you have a longer scenario with, I don't know how many LEDs, you basically beginning, middle, and end feed it. And, well, I tried to work out lots of scenarios so people can figure out how to power stuff and things like that. Let me switch back. There we go. Quinn LED workshop at next camp zone in the Hack Zone booth, Leon. Actually, we've done that for 2 years, just not the last 2 years. Before that, we did that 2 years in a row, I think. But yes, I will certainly take that up with Tom. We've talked about the idea before about doing it again. And for that, I can make some kits and stuff like that, because I don't have to send it to people. But yes, I'll be working with Tom to work that out. Let me read up here. Any tips for using a physical touch dimmer switch, wall mountable, to control analog or digital LED strip? Felipe Go, actually no. I don't use those things. Most of my lighting is automated. I am planning on doing some more with motion detection. I actually ordered some of these. Let me try and show you. Radar sensors the past week. No, not the past week, the past month actually. I think I purchased them at the, this is a very stubborn bag. The 11th of the 11th. I haven't even unpacked those yet. Let me get them under here. Wow, this seller really took care of packaging. So these are little radar. Let me check if that's in screen. Yeah, little radar modules that are pre-built. You can just hook them up using some GPIO pins. I haven't experimented with them yet. When I get time, I will. And yeah, I'm hoping to do some motion detection stuff with that. But basically, if you're using Home Assistant, which I advise everyone to do so, it doesn't really matter if it's Z-Wave or Zigbee or Wi-Fi or Xiaomi or whatever. If it hooks into Home Assistant and you also have a Quinn LED hooked into Home Assistant, it can work. Oh, that's not on screen. But yeah, it can just it can just work, because once it's connected to Home Assistant, everything that's connected to Home Assistant is connected to each other, and Home Assistant can be the brain. So that's why I put so much emphasis on making my products Home Assistant compatible. And well, ESPHome is just great software. But once you have it in there, if you want to use a Zigbee light bulb controlled by a Wi-Fi dimmer switch, which then also sends a command to a Z-Wave whatever, that's fine. So I especially like touch dimmer switches for in a wall. I'd look into what's available commercially, maybe from ZemiSmart or stuff like that, and then just hook it into Home Assistant, and once you have that into Home Assistant, it can control a Quinn LED Deca, Quad, Dig-Uno, whatever you want. So that would be my advice. Well, yeah, I need to watch the videos. I'm new to all the circuit boards things, but thanks for the explanation. I appreciate it. No problem, Yo-Yo Gerrit. We all have to start somewhere, so if you have any questions, you can always leave them in comments for my videos. But a better talk is just to join the Discord server. We're all hanging out there, and there's more people than me that can answer questions. So, yeah. My Quinn LED controls an IKEA bulb. There we go. That's the thing. Yeah, so if you make a switch to one of these boards, and once it's in Home Assistant, it can do anything. Have you ever considered releasing a Quinn thermostat? We talked about that a little bit earlier in the stream, Brendan White. I have, but then I decided not to because I could never make a product that could compete against a $10 Bluetooth-enabled Xiaomi thermostat and humidity sensor. So I understand the whole multi-sensor thing, but I rather buy the sensors pre-made and pre-calibrated and stuff like that, and then hook them up somehow, in this case using ESP32, to Home Assistant. And yeah. Let's see, Marco Marino. Hi there. I have used your advice for running IP PoE cameras with one cable, 6A, and a Duo, yeah, all connected to the, okay. But every time it reboots the cameras, it will be signed with the same IP address, so one of the image will not appear or duplicate. Really? Huh. That's interesting. That PFT 1300 is basically just a switch which is fed with PoE and then has 2 times PoE out. So there shouldn't really be any MAC address conflicts. Can you maybe set static IPs to prevent that issue? I don't know. I've never run into that, so that's interesting. Yeah, I'm on Discord. It's a great place. Thank you. I really enjoy the Discord. I'm normally, in real life, not always a very... Well, I'm not an antisocial person, but I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, I guess. That's why YouTube works for me, because I can just talk to this camera and, you know, there's no one here. But I really like the Discord and the people on there. It's a great place to hang out, chat, and to help people troubleshoot or think about solutions and stuff like that. Yeah, I enjoy it. I already tried to give them static IP address, but it doesn't work. Have something similar like this. Any advice? Huh. And the MAC address in the cameras itself is different? That's really odd. Okay. My wife love it. It's good WAF. WAF is the thing, man. I mean, I think my girlfriend has said it about 10 times now that she really loves the new Christmas tree lights. And she never wants to go back to something else anymore. So, yeah, that product turned out really well. It's a bit of a hassle with those tiny little wires and stuff like that. But it's been working, the tree's been up for about a week and a half now. And it's still working great. And you don't see those little cables. And that project turned out great. So, yeah. The Discord's really nice, Mr. Fat. Thank you. Running DVR software. So let's see. We talked about the 18,000 subscribers. We talked about some news regarding the Quad and the Deca. Well, we can talk a little bit more about power injection. Someone asked that in the beginning of the stream. So I'm not sure who asked this. Is this for analog or digital LEDs? Because that kind of... It makes a little difference, but mostly with any power injection. What's this? Sure. But sorry, I got distracted. I don't have squirrels like Dr. Z's. Power injection. So basically, per LED, there is a maximum usage that it can use, and if power has to travel through the strip, the strip has pretty high resistance because there isn't a lot of copper in there, and the further it needs to go, and or the more power is being used because of the amount of LEDs it passes, the voltage will start to drop because the strip just can't carry anymore. So you need to inject additional power. Now, for 5 volt LED strip, my general rule is that you have to inject power every 100 pixels. And what I mean with that, for instance, if you take the Christmas light strings, those are 50 LEDs a piece. You start out at one side, and then you have 50 pieces. Then you connect it together, and then you have another 50 pieces. You add in power on this side, and on this side. And then all those 100 LEDs will be evenly lit, even if you put them to all white, because there's still going to be loss in the cable, basically. So my guideline for 5-volt pixels, if it's on LED strip, if it's on the bulky string, or even the delicate string, I guess, every 100 pixels you need to inject. Now, if you're running 12-volt LEDs, for instance WS2811, the bulky style, or you're running 2815 strip, it's about 150 to 200, depends on if you want to do full white or not, because the drop on those strips is a lot better, because it's more than twice the voltage. So in theory, you can reach, well, twice the amount of LEDs without incurring the same drop. But I'm a bit hesitant to say 200 LEDs, because that's stretching it a bit far, because the distance does become further. So about 150 or something like that. Yeah, that's basically digital LED voltage injection. I have some videos about that. Actually, I have let's see if my cable reaches. Yep. There we go. So what I have here, let me switch to the big camera. And this is upcoming. I'm not sure when yet, but should be soon. This is, wait, that's not, you can't read that. Does this help? Yeah, that's better. So this is 2815. This is, I didn't look, SK6812 with RGBW. And then this is, I didn't look again. This is just normal WS2812. Sorry, no, this is the Eco variant. And then this is normal WS2812. And I have another bag on the way, also from BTF Lighting. I bought this all myself, by the way. It's not sponsored. To do some testing, like how many pixels, 5-volt, 12-volt, difference in chips between WS2812B and SK6812. Yeah, I know Rob from the Hookup. He did an excellent test and published results. And it's not that I don't trust his results, but I just, you know, I like this stuff, and I just basically want to do the same tests. So he did 30 LEDs per meter strip. I like using higher density LEDs per meter, so these are all 60 LEDs per meter, and I'll be doing some tests and some measurements to see like how much does WS2815 with the same pattern use versus SK6812 or WS2812, which has the highest light output, stuff like that. But that's going to be in upcoming videos, because I did my voltage drop video about analog LEDs, and I used some really shitty analog LED strip for that with like barely any copper in it. So I had to voltage power inject the shit out of it. But that was a good example case of why you need power injection, and that without any power injection it used like 36 watts, but with it used like over 120 watts. And that's only because the LED cable had too little copper in it, so it was having high resistance and stuff like that. The light output also like 8-fold times higher, and yeah. So yeah, that's a upcoming thing. Back into the LED drawer. Yes, BTF Lighting. They've never sponsored me anything, but most of my links, especially for digital LEDs, go there. They make some excellent digital LED strips, and I haven't had an issue with them yet. I've used some other sellers, and they might be a few bucks cheaper, but then I got worse PCB material of the strip itself, because the PCB material next to the LED itself determines how much voltage drop and stuff like that you're going to have. Yeah, analog strip is a different deal, because there I still like the color diode stuff. Although I have been talking with a manufacturer who is also on AliExpress, another one than color diode. They're sending me, well, I basically asked them for a sample kit, and that should be from 1800 Kelvin all the way up to let me switch back. So from 1800 Kelvin all the way up to 7000 Kelvin, so I can show you the difference in color output of a LED strip or white color. And those are also supposed to be CRI 95. So we're going to do a quality of white light video, basically. And I'll probably use their strip for that. And if it's good, well, we'll match them up with the color diode strip and see if the king, and those have been king for me for about 3-4 years now, still remains the king, or maybe there's a new king. Who knows? Up until now, I test like 1 or 2 strips I buy myself every month, I think. I've drawers and drawers full of LED strip because I want to test everything, and if it's good, recommend it to you guys. Yeah, but we'll see if it's any good. So yeah, let's see. Do you have a link to the radar sensor? Not right now. Not plugged into that. No, not right now. Once it's this video is live in the description. No. Once this video is live as a pre-recorded video on YouTube, I'll add it to the description, Directos. What are the 10 channels for on the Deca channels? Well, yes, the Deca is a analog LED board, so you can hook up 10 white LED strips, which you then can control separately, or you can hook up, let's see, 3, 6, 9, so that's 3 RGB strips. Or you can hook up like 2 RGB strips and then 2 white strips. Or you can hook up 2 RGB plus CCT strips. So basically you have 10 analog channels you can control individually. So any combination of that, you can make it run. So for instance, my studio lighting, the white light you see on my face is run on the same QuinLED Deca as this red is on the screen or on my background here. And in the back, those are also all analog LED strips, because if you're doing anything with video involved, you often see that that flickering you see on other videos probably. That's because of a too low PWM frequency. And with the analog dimmer, we're able to control that ourselves. So again, these guys, you can do, most of these are running at 120,000 Hertz PWM. And even the best digital LEDs, that's APA 102, run at like 18,000. And that's mostly fine. But like WS2812 or SK6812 only runs at like 14 or 1800. And that can still show up in videos with some settings. So yeah, analog LEDs. And that's what those channels are for. I bought a couple of strips from BTF Lighting. They seem to be really good. I find 60 LED meters a good balance between power and brightness. 30 is not quite enough. I certainly agree with that, Brendan. Especially if they're using them indoors, you at least want 60 or even higher. I have some like 90 and 69 LEDs per meter strip too. Let me get a drink. "61 people. Hey guys. Some of us are LED'd out for the season." Yeah, I get that. My next videos are probably not going to be about LEDs. You never know with me. But, well, all the LEDs are up and running, and, you know, it's kind of the season, but it'll pass. Don't worry. That's why I have multiple topics on my channel, and I change it around sometimes. "Hi, what made you decide to use Home Assistant of any other platform?" Well, that's funny you ask, Space Monkey. I actually started out with Domotics. And, well, Domotics is actually still running in my house. Can I show you that? I guess I can show you that. Hold on. Yep, hold on. There we go. So, Domotics. I started out with Domotics. I didn't start out with Home Assistant. And as you can see on the dates... no, that doesn't work. I still have lots of Domotics going on, and I still have the Quinn LED OG dimmers connected to most of the home lighting. I have replaced some with my newer boards and Home Assistant, for instance, in my studio and in my office and in the hallway and upstairs. And I have replaced some stuff, but a lot of other stuff is still running using Domotics and my original boards and original coding for that. Because once it's in your house, if it works, if it just works, it's never failed since we've lived there, and we've been living here 3 years now. It just doesn't have that higher priority. I mean, I like tinkering and building with the boards more than replacing my own home setup, if that makes sense. So, I started out with Domotics, and now I'm transitioning, and everything new I build, I do in Home Assistant. And I'm actually thinking about setting up a new Home Assistant during my vacation time. Because the old one, or the one I'm running, it's all kinds of experiments have been going on in there, and I'm thinking about starting a new setup and keeping that tied to all the home automations that are actually running, and then having a play around Home Assistant in another VM and do it that way. But yeah, Domotics isn't bad. It's just different, and well, Home Assistant just has like 20-fold the development behind it, or at least people that help in the development and stuff like that, or active or whatever. And so if you're looking for integrations, Home Assistant is it. So yeah, like the WLED integration Frank recently made, that's just awesome. I mean, I can control my Christmas tree from Home Assistant. I mean, what more do you want? I want to try and solder the QuinLED-Dig-Uno. I ordered all the parts, but I'm still lacking the fuse holder and the diodes. Is it a problem to use SS24 instead of SS12? What's the difference? Jochem, you can use the SS24 on the spot for the SS12. That's not a problem. Basically, when I was designing the board, and I might change this in a future revision, not sure yet, I basically followed the Goody Two Shoes electronic designer's guide, and the SS12 is supposed to be in that spot. But if you walk besides the lines a little bit, the SS24 will work in that spot just fine and doesn't have too much downsides. In theory, it has a bit higher voltage drop than the SS12 does, but I have one or two boards running, I think, with an SS24 on there just to test it. And I recently redid my Quinn LED Deca and Quad design, and I also put an SS24 on there because if I can standardize on that, that'd be great. So yes, you can put that on there. Regarding the fuse holder, I've seen some people just soldering a fuse in there, or you can just bridge the connections and then it'll work fine too. I know shipping for those can take a long time, so yeah. I've looked at using different fuse holders, but they're either way more expensive, or they're a lot bigger and then won't fit on the board, or they're non-isolated. I don't like that either. So, yeah. Have you managed to get WLED to show up in HA with MQTT? I have everything set okay in the interface on HA, but still nothing. This motor shows right away. I actually try to avoid MQTT when I can. So I don't think I currently have anything running with MQTT anymore, because my own boards use ESPHome, and although that can use MQTT, I use it using the API. So yeah, WLED the same thing, and like my temperature plugs, everything is running ESPHome and has native API integration into Home Assistant. So I don't know with MQTT. I've had it running for a few things, but I haven't run into it. Oh damn it! I haven't run into it not showing up. So thanks for the explanation. No problem. Isn't some of the flicker due to half-wave rectifier? Half-wave rectifier? I think you mean half-wave rectifiers. Maybe, but like for instance, I'm in Europe, and this system is so effed up. we run 50 hertz on our power network. So we get 230 volts or 220, 240, something like that, 50 hertz. But we used to have TVs that had 50 hertz and cameras that were 50 hertz and everything was 50 hertz. That was fine. But then America said, we're doing 60 hertz. So they made NTSC instead of PAL, and they run everything at 60 hertz. Okay, well, this was fine in the old era. Nowadays, though, we don't run CRTs anymore. We run a TFT, so an LCD screen. Those all, everywhere in the world, run at 60 hertz. So now there's a problem. You're filming at 50 hertz, but your screen is 60 hertz, and if something is flickering outside of the sync pattern, well, you're effed. And I actually had to. You're looking at a Panasonic Lumix G7. I actually had to hack the firmware. I have some articles on how I did that to re-enable 30 FPS mode because it's disabled because I bought it in Europe. And if you buy it in the States, they disable 25 FPS or 50. So, but I'm like, okay, I make content for YouTube. I do not make content for on a TV. You can play it on a TV, that's fine. But even nowadays, your TV will run 60 hertz or even higher. And your monitor will certainly be running 60 hertz. Your phone is running 60 hertz. Everything is running 60 hertz, except my lights. Those are 50 hertz. So basically, whatever you do now, especially if you live in Europe, you're effed because you're never going to be able to match all the frequencies of your camera or if I record in 25 FPS and everything here is 25 or 50, but then you watch it on a 60 hertz screen, again, it becomes choppy. And I like having things nice and fluid. So I hacked my camera, it's at 30 FPS, and all my lighting is running at such a high PWM frequency, it really doesn't matter anymore. I'm really bothered by this whole archaic stuff with 50, 60 hertz, and it's all LED lighting. It has nothing to do with that anymore, except if you have a cheap driver and control. I'm all for 30. Let's see. I had to go to the yeah. I was wondering if there will come a new video how to get more insight into the power usage and cost of Home Assistant integration. That's an interesting idea. Oh, you mean the power and the cost of your home usage, I presume? I had some plans in that regard, but they haven't come to fruition this year. But I might still do those in the future, where I'm going to measure all the phases separately in the house. I did my 18 power plug meters, and that's still running. Most of it is. Let me prepare a screen here. I work on so many projects, so after a while, some stuff gets left behind. Chrome. There we go. So my Grafana is still running, and I can see my heating. This is today so far, and it's what time is it? It's a 9:45, so we have pretty good data. So I can see my LED power usage because, well, those are my own LED controllers, and those are all plugged into giant boards and fuses and stuff like that, so I can measure that. And then we have our home heating and air system. Oh, I keep forgetting you cannot see my mouse. Well, you can see it lighting up. Home heating and air system. Appliance power usage. So this big spike here was the dishwasher. Okay. Applies total power usage, but that only updates when the power plug updates. So I can see the kilowatt hours that appliance, or at least what went through that plug, has used. Total power cost for today. And I had a total in here too, I thought. Oh yeah, no. So for today, it's a little bit more than €2. I used a lot of power. But the main big things that I still don't know about are like the heat pump and the car and stuff like that, how much that is using. But because I now have insight into how much this is using, and my PC plus monitors Quindor is using the most of all the appliances in the house, I now already have a lot better insight. So that's why the plans for... oh, you guys see the mouse. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. But that's why the plans for doing all-phase power monitoring, as I was planning, have been kind of pushed back, because I already have a bit more insight. So, oh, we still have some Xiaomi battery level measurements. Wow, how long has that been going on? Okay, 45%, 60%. Okay, cool. Yeah, I really need to continue with that whole project for the thermometers. I've been wanting to get back into that, but I haven't had the time. But who knows? Maybe in the next few weeks. So, let me get back here. There we go. If you have a good power supply, you won't have issues with half-wave rectification. Most power supplies will use with LEDs will use switch mode power. Yes, that is true. But then again, if you're doing PWM, that's either being done often in commercial products at 100 Hertz or 120 Hertz. That's just way too low. I don't know why they do that. I'm sure it has to do with EMI and stuff like that, but if anything, get a commercial product that does constant current, because then you have a chance that it doesn't use PWM, so basically never flickers, like most new monitors use and stuff like that. But yeah. Why avoid MQTT? I've actually been doing the opposite, since it gives me the chance to control things outside of HA. I'm not avoiding MQTT, but if I can do it without MQTT, I will. So if I can do it API based using ESPHome, or there's a native integration, which Home Assistant has a lot of, I won't go through MQTT, because it's another step where something can go wrong. And I haven't experienced this myself, but I read a lot of messages about retaining issues and stuff like that. So I like running ESPHome anyway, and since that's native API, I don't see a reason to use MQTT, because I just don't have much use for it. But if there's something that only talks MQTT, yeah, I'm fine with using that. So, why do you want to release a... Why Marlon Otto? Why do you want to release a wiring schematic of the wireless-Dig-Uno Easy ADA? Oh, won't. Well, I talked about this a little bit earlier, Marlon, but I've had bad issues in the past with people copying my designs, starting to sell it, and basically just making a buck of it, but then sending support my way to deal with it, and then I get flooded with people like, hey, I bought your stuff, and how do I do this, and how do I do that, and it gave all kinds of problems with people just taking my design and commercializing it and then selling it, and that was just more of a hassle than was worth. And like Dale, I believe, mentioned before, he actually had some designs which got stolen by China, and then they just reproduced his product for cheaper than he could ever make them himself. So there's some reasons why I don't do that. Yeah, I hope people can live with that. And as I said, I'm not against sharing my designs and how I made them. I just try to protect them a little bit from that kind of abuse, basically. So yeah. I also got some Grafana graphics for those Blitzwolf plugs, but no matter the time range I select, I always start at the 0 on the left. And for some reason, they seem off with the usage. For example, my water heater is using like 3 kilowatts per usage, so I still figure it out. Okay, I don't think I have that issue. Well, yes. Well, it depends what you're trying to count. Are you trying to count kilowatt hours or kilowatt usage at that moment? So we can look at that real quick. If I go back to Chrome, can I make this bigger? Hold on, let me see how that looks on stream. It's mostly on screen. Okay, so no, that doesn't work. Okay. If we look at my LED power usage, this is a a power usage at that moment, so a point in time graph. So if I look at what I do there, I basically just do a time series of 10 seconds. I group that, and then, yeah, that's basically all the query I do. And I check the wattage, which is a real-time value in Home Assistant. No, cancel. If we then look at the power usage, no, that's the same type of graph. If we look at total power usage, that does a different thing. That looks at the wattage again, but then does a little formula. So field value integral cumulative sum, so it basically counts it up and rounds it off. And it does it in math, so it divides it through 3600 seconds, which is an hour. And then it will give me kilowatts hour. That's a time series for 1 second, and that way I can just... So here it was using power, so that it got higher. Then it stayed the same mostly, because it was only using a little bit of power, and then it started using power again. So, yeah, you have to make two kinds of graphs. Hopefully, maybe check it back later once the video is released. You can see what I did here, and maybe copy it. So this is for kilowatt hours. It basically calculates it, and this is for current power usage. I'll leave that there for a few more seconds. Okay, you can go back and watch it later. Okay, Camlink. I also got some. I had that one. How many kilowatt hour does your house draw when running idle? Actually, let me prepare something real quick. Where is it? There it is. Cool. Okay. Switching. Oh, wrong one. Switching back again. There we go. So, I have a Dutch home, and since it's newly built, you basically can't get out of having a smart energy meter. So, those smart energy meters, they have a P0, P1, something like that, plug on it, which you can attach a cable, and then with a DSMR reader, you can basically extract the same data your power company does. So if we look here, and we didn't have much solar today. Let's make it 24 hours. So, well, actually, I shouldn't have made it 24 hours. Anyway, let's see here, like during the deep of night, let's say here, 6:25, so there's no sun yet, so the solar panels aren't active. We're drawing about 856. I think it varies between 600 and 800 depending on the freezer and refrigerator and stuff like that. I do have multiple servers running and things like that, so those will use power. My biggest server of all the disks in it uses about 180 watts continuously because I added those enterprise disks in it. I'm still debating that option. There might be a video about that at some point. But yeah, I guess 600 to 800 watts is idle for the house, and then I have a heat pump, so all these little spikes you see, I did switch over, right? Yeah. All those little spikes you see is the heat pump, heating the house. And since I have underfloor heating, I basically have to do it continuously. So as you can see, I used quite a lot of power because this is for one day. Now it is cold outside, and I have a freestanding house, and it's next to a farmland, so there's lots of wind, which cools the house off again. But I have good insulation, and it's a battle against the elements. And winter is expensive, summer is cheap. Yeah. Our Dutch home runs 550 watt idle. Okay, well, that's comparable. I think, because I have run like 3 servers running, I mean, that has to eat power at some point, right? Okay, let's see what I missed here. Have all your home lighting done? You're never done with home lighting, are you? Yes, I have like 95% done. There's some projects I still want to do. I want to do 2 projects involving bookcases and 2 different one using analog LEDs and one using digital LEDs with WLED segmenting. I think that would be really great. But that's somewhere in the future. Then I have a mirror I want to do somewhere, and I have lots of projects. And I want to replace my older OG boards with the newer ones and Home Assistant. But I haven't because that's just been running fine. So yeah, I only use it between 200 and 250 during the night. I wish. If I turn everything off, but then I can't turn everything off because the heat pump has to stay on, the water circulation has to stay on, the air ventilation has to stay on. That already draws like 25 watt continuously. There's just stuff that needs to stay on. So, and then I have my servers and you know. I'm not able to read the data sheets, so I can build my own. Is there a good alternative? Oh, Marlon, if you want to basically just buy it, wait a little bit, and hopefully at the end of the month, maybe beginning of the next month, I will be able to announce that you can buy a pre-assembled version. I'm working really hard on that every day, so soon, I hope. Opposite is true here in Las Vegas. Yeah. I can imagine you have to do cooling during the summer and not during the winter. When the water reader is used, a graph, for example, 603 watts, and it stays it for like 2 hours till, however. Yeah, but that's okay. If it's 603 watts, it's 603 watts if it doesn't use any more power. If it does, it should scale higher, like the graphs I had. The next usage of the water, then it goes up to 2 and it stays there until next usage, and so on. Then today it says after 5 usages I have a total number of 9. Okay. But that should scale in Grafana to the date range you set. So if I say 5 days, I get a graph starting from 0 to 5 days. And if I say 6 hours, I get a graph starting from then to 6 hours later, and then the amount calculated in that time. So I don't see the issue really. How much is your 1 kilowatt? Yeah, that's what Frank says. I actually signed for a new energy contract this is Friday. Yesterday, Thursday. Because I got a new contract proposal from the current energy energy company I'm currently with, and they were going to ask me 22.5 during the day and 21.8 during the night, because I have dual tariff for day and night, and I switched to a new one, and that's asking me 2.1 during the day and 19.8 during the night, I think, or 20.1, at least a little bit lower. So I actually switched this week. But yeah, power is expensive here, and the power itself only costs like 5 or 6 euro cents, and the rest is all tax. So yeah, but then again, I have 12,000 watt peak of solar panels, but it's winter here, and they are doing jack shit. So, yeah, they do a lot better during the summer. On a good day during the summer, I can get 70 to 80 kilowatt hours of power from the sun. So that basically takes care of all the usage of the house and then some. But because of some government rules here in the Netherlands called salderen, if I make power during the summer, but then ask it back during the winter, and so I deliver it to the grid, it's basically a zero. So that's a good deal. But they are changing those laws, so that sucks. I guess I'm lucky at 7 cents. Nicholas Leon, I am really envious for you. My power bill is quite high. What do you use to measure the power? I have some videos about 2-year convert energy power plugs. They cost about 10 euros a piece. Actually, Frank did a really good piece about it too. He has a very, very nice written guide with some updated calibration methods. If you want to post that, Frank, that's fine. But yeah, we use these 10 euro plugs, which you can flash over the air to ESPHome or Tesmoda or something like that. You have to do a little bit of calibration, but then they hook natively into Home Assistant, and you can hook Grafana into Home Assistant, and then, well, it's all one big happy family again. Yeah, that's how I measure power. So using these plug-in, I don't have one here, I think. No. Yeah, using these plug-in energy meters. Yep, can confirm. Bring back summer. Cool. Images is always nice in the Discord. Thank you. Tax is really high on it. Yeah, Brendan, that's just... We have a great battery for solar right now. It's called the Grid. Yeah, yeah, it's going away, but I actually bought more solar panels this year because with those rules in place, I think I can pay it off in 5 years because I use a ridiculous amount of power anyway. And then once that rule is gone, so I have to use the power when I produce it, those solar panels will basically already have paid for itself. So better to do it now than later, because then it's going to be a lot less efficient in regards to what you get for what you pay for. Okay. What is the brand? I use Z-Wave plugs at the moment. There's lots of brands. Okay, let me get that article real quick. Where did I put it? There we go. Yeah, check here. This is my written article, but it also has links to the YouTube stuff. Those are the plugs I use, and you can reflash them over the air using a special convert method, and then they're excellent. I actually had someone in the Discord 2 days back. I'm not sure who it was anymore. He actually had some burns on the plugs. I'm not sure what he was using with it, but he said it didn't go above 2,000 watt. But I've had my washing machine, my dryer, my dishwasher, and all kinds of other stuff on it, and I haven't had that issue. So maybe limit yourself to about 10 amps through those plugs. But for me, they've been rock solid. So we talked about power injection a little bit, and then we landed on all kinds of different subjects. How long have I been streaming? About 1.5 hours, something like that. Let's do a last topic, because someone mentioned IP cameras just now, and I have a funny story to share about that. I was going to make a video about it, but maybe I still will. But then in repairing it, let me get something real quick. Yep, Tekken is one of the brands. Basically, Tuya makes a lot of products for a lot of different brands. So as long as there's Tuya inside, it should have an ESP8266 in there, so you can run ESPHome or other things, and that makes it really easy. Let me switch to the desk cam. So this is one of the IP cameras that I had in. No, this is the IP camera that I had in my backyard. After it got intermittent at a certain point, the channel name, and then it died, or at least I didn't have a picture anymore. I didn't have time to look at it, and I looked at it like 2 weeks later, and I was like, "What happened? What went wrong?" Well, I use these little these containers, they basically, I'm not sure you can see that. They basically have rubber on one side, and you can open them up, and then you can hook the cables through this gland here, and through this gland here, and then basically you close it up, and then you shut it, and that's supposed to make it kind of watertight. Yeah. Well, if it doesn't, what's wrong with this UTP plug? Can anyone see? Something went horribly wrong. Yeah, so when I came and opened that little box, basically I had to pour the water out of it, and well, this is the plug that UTP connector was plugged into, and yeah, I don't really have a way to show you quite right, but basically most of the pins in here are just burned. They're carbonated. They're not there anymore. It's gone. There's no copper there. That's never going to work again. So yeah, this camera is offline, but I have a good suspicion that this camera will actually still work. I just need to attach a new, well, plug or whatever this is to it. And I've been doing a little bit of research into that, and I think I know how to do it now. But this just got completely destroyed. That's not dirt. That's like burnt crap. I mean, the pins are just gone or fused together. It's just, yeah. That's not going to work anymore. So I think I might do that in an upcoming video where I just snip this off and attach a new plug and see if it works that way. And if not, well, it died because it basically, this was just underwater. It wasn't like moist. It was just flooded. So I can't really fault it for that. But yeah, in a future video, maybe we'll go into repairing that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was funny. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a bit broken. It was like a lot broken. Yes, a lot broken TM. So, well, we're coming up to the 2-hour mark, and that's kind of where I want to stop the stream. So I didn't have a single topic which I was going to work on or build or something like that, like in the previous live stream. Is it rust? No, I don't know. It's electrocuted copper. I'm happy my power supply in my patch rack didn't explode, but there's protection in there, so in the PoE injectors I use. So yeah. So yeah, stream, lots of different topics, no real thing we're doing. I wanted to try that and see if you guys liked it. Kind of inspired by Dr. Z's because he has to work and take his wife out and stuff like that. That's important, guys. Take your wife out to dinner or to the movies or whatever. Especially if it's her birthday. Do something nice for them. Yeah. I hope you guys like the stream. And we have about 10 minutes left. So if anyone has a topic they still want to discuss or a question or about the LED board, servers, storage, EFS, whatever, hit me. Let me know. Mega broken. Yes, yes, this is, yes, not going to work anymore. You better use the box of gel. Yeah, filled with gel would have prevented that, but I'm looking, I bought some really big heat shrink, so maybe when I do it again, stop it, she can hear you. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, well, we've heard your wife on the stream too, Frank. So I remember one time, I think somebody clipped it. She was like, she didn't notice you were streaming. That was funny. Mine does that too, but not when I'm streaming because she isn't here. So, you know, yeah, that was cool. So, hi there. Kees van Hoekelen, he sounds Dutch. Welcome. Dutch, any other country, it's all fine. Is there any way, apart from Christmas thingy, to get more WAF points? That's a good question. Actually, my cameras. If you thought I use the cameras a lot, I have a log in my camera system in NX Witness, which keeps track of who logs in and how often and stuff like that. I don't know what she does at her work, but we have some cameras that are pointed at the chickens and in the backyard and stuff like that. I think she's just watching those the whole day. I don't know what she does at work. But yeah, she uses the cameras a lot more than I do. And she had to get used to them, especially I have one inside in the living room. But now that they're there, if they're not working, she's the one who's going to complain about it. So, cameras is actually a pretty good WAF in that regard. So yeah, she checks how the chickens are doing, how the cat is doing. We can leave home even if one of the animals is sick because she can check on the cameras. Yeah, that's actually been pretty good. So maybe that's a good tip. Robo vacuum. You call that a WAF, Frank, but we basically, in our house, it went like this. Okay, we have to divide some chores. Okay. Well, you do this, and I'll do the trash. I haven't got a trash robot yet, but I'll also do the vacuuming. You'll do all the vacuuming? Yes, I'll do all the vacuuming. Okay, deal. So the next day, I bought a robot, and she was like, "What? You were going to do the vacuuming, right?" Yes. So I got a robot slave who's now doing the vacuuming, and I paid for it. So yeah, she wasn't prepared for that, but it's okay. She's grown to like them, and we actually now have two. I had a Roomba from 5 or 6 years old, so that moved to the first floor, and we have a new a Roborock S60, the newest one. That's downstairs, and that's a big improvement over the old Roomba. And yep, she likes it. She actually turns it on, and she used the little she sorry, I was reading Frank's comment. We divide as well, less the divide. Yeah. But she uses the water scrubbing feature, and she looks sometimes in the app and stuff like that. So yeah, robots that take chores out of hand, and basically we sleep in the attic, so it drives around during the night or in the middle of the night, and we don't hear it. So our home gets vacuumed every day, and we have 2 cats, and well, if anything drops on the floor during the day, it'll be gone the next day, and that's worked out really well. So I can definitely advise those. Oh, okay. Gel-filled boxes are on a shelf in DIY markets. Yeah, I get that, but part of these plugs is that you can disconnect them, and if you fill it with gel, well, that's not going to happen anymore. So if I ever wanted to replace the camera, something like that, that'd still be a problem. So the one who wants to use a Quinn LED. Oh, okay, yeah, I remember you wanting to use a 230 volt plug, pulse. You ended up solving that case with a optocoupler, right? If I remember correctly. I bet she felt scammed a little bit, but she grew to like it, and now she just moves the robots to where it needs to be vacuumed if it's a different floor or a different room, and she doesn't bother me anymore. And I just vacuum like corners and some other little parts once a month, and that's fine as long as the robots are driving every day. If we don't do it every day, if we only vacuum once a month, no. So it's not a full replacement, but it certainly helps. I love my robot vacuum slave, yes. Those things actually work. I always thought it was some kind of marketing stunt. So during this stream, I get ESPHome up and running and flashed my first son of basic and got it running. Oh, that's too common. Sorry. Cool. Nice 4 tracks. That's nice. I actually have some Sonos, but I haven't done much with them because I started using the energy measurement plugs for anything AC related, so I can measure energy, and I can turn things on and off. So yeah. Well, I'm having fun. So let's dive back to the browser real quick. And let's go into Node-RED. There we go. So one of the things I did, and I never made a video about it, I might still at some point. So if, for instance, you have those energy meter plugs next to counting energy, you can also use them to turn things on and off. So I made this little thing in Node-RED. So basically, this sensor is sensing the plug that's connected to the TV. And then I have a little, how's this node called? Power monitor node, I guess. Which says, okay, if it's above 10 watt, you have to trigger. And if it's below 10 watt, well, you have to turn it off. So if it's above 10 watt, it turns on my subwoofer and amplifiers. And if the TV is below 10 watt, it turns off my subwoofer and amplifiers. So instead of building all kinds of complicated integrations with my LG OLED, whatever, changing IP, stuff like that, I just measure the power the TV is using to change scenes in the house. And I also did this for the bathroom. It's basically the same thing. It measures humidity, and it basically has a switch. If it's above 80%, it'll turn on the relay in the garage. So those are separate. And the one is using a Xiaomi with an ESP32, and then I have a relay connected to another ESP32 in the garage. I did a video about this. And it turns on the HVAC, or the whole house air ventilation system, to the highest level. And then when it drops below that level again, it turns it off. So we have automatic ventilation when someone's in the shower. I guess, do I dare show you this? This is my temperature relay do-it-yourself thermometer setup. So the main thing of that is that I use a thermostat node. I believe that was a third-party plugin. I have a YOLO profile because this is all testing. But basically this is a 3-channel version of doing it to get temperatures, and I can inject temperatures to test it. And it does run certain programs. It can do heating and cooling, and then it sends data to relays. Let's say heating is on, cooling is off, and then it knows if it's asking or not, and it would switch another relay. Yeah, I'm not going to go fully into this right now. Once it's finished or more finished, I'll definitely make a video or more of a video series about this. But I have been working on it a little bit, and here where you can see how I got it working. But since Home Assistant has been becoming much easier in regards to automations and stuff like that, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it in Node-RED or I'm going to do it in Home Assistant now, but we'll see. I might just do it this way first and then maybe improve it later, but we'll see about that. Let's go back to the chat. You just have to add more dielectric grease and plug it back. Oh, okay, yeah. I use a Shelly device for that. Sonos in a box because I switched to Shelly. Shelly is, if you have Shellys, they're a bit more expensive, I think, but I think those are nicer designed than Sonos, especially if you can put them in wall plugs, wall sockets and stuff like that. I have my bedroom fan turned off when the HVAC is on. Cool, yeah. Love doing this stuff. Yeah, that makes it great. Frank explained this when they were doing their live stream with Paulus and other guys from Home Assistant, or Nabu Casa. What Home Assistant should do, or Home Domotica in general, is make things easier. You shouldn't move a button that's like on the wall to on your phone. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make it easier. Maybe in some regards it makes it easier, but the house just needs to do what it needs to do without you having to press a button. And I'm all for that philosophy. And that's what Home Assistant is pretty good in if you automate it either using Node-RED or automations. My lights are still mostly automated using the sunset, but even that already is so much easier, and I rarely, if ever, use a light button anymore to turn a light on and off, because the lights are on and off when we need them. So yeah, it might be one of the causes of our power usage, but It's all LEDs, so, you know. Doing something similar. Plug my cooking plate in ESP, and if it detects power, my ventilation goes to full. Yeah, but that's just those button presses you were doing every day. Now you don't have to think about it anymore. It just does it. And in my case, my ventilation thing is in the garage. So if I wanted to shower, I would have to go to the garage first, turn it on, and then back upstairs to the shower, and then back to the garage again. That doesn't make sense. And now it just happens. And it turns on, it turns off. Never think about it again. That's what home automation is, for me at least. I think it was actually from Bra Automation who talked about this. That was it. It's really nice to see him making videos again. I really hope well, we've said this a few times already. I hope Bra sticks to it, and he's got his things in order so that he can just make some nice videos. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I know my videos aren't perfect. I am a perfectionist, but then again, at some point I get to the point, well, if I'm going to try and make this perfect, it'll never get released. So you have to kind of find a balance between that, I think. So yeah. You should sell guided house tours. It's not that impressive. Is there a way to use an ESP32 scan for Bluetooth devices, not BLE? I'm using ESP, but like can detect HA or Raspberry Pi. I think you can do that. I haven't really looked into that. I think you can do presence detection of phones with that and stuff like that. So you should be able to do that in ESPHome, I think. Inside the wall switches still must work for WAF factor. Okay, yeah, I get that. Unless she never has to push that button. Then why would she want that? But, yeah. Have you ever checked out IO Broker? I use this for home automation. I have not. Sorry, Extreme. Only 1 hour of work to save those... only 100 hours of work to save those few seconds every day, still worth it to me. Yeah. The amount of time you sometimes have to put into it. I mean, 100 hours. Let's make it a few months designing boards like this. You know, but it was fun at the same time. So not everything has to be ultra productive all the time. Have you ever done a home tour like Dr. Z's did, showing what you use where and as far as automation goes? I have not, but once I reach 20,000 subscribers, I'm thinking about it. Just to show some stuff. And I want to improve some stuff and change some stuff before that. But, you know, it's never done. Yeah, okay. So, we've hit the 2 hour mark. And, well, we're still 59 people. But I am going to cut this off. Yeah, I think it was an awesome stream. I'll give you like a few minutes to respond what you thought about this format and just sitting down and hanging out. Do you guys like that? Should I do that more often, or should I have just made a video today and released that? What do you guys think? Let's do that as the last topic, and then we're done. Do home tour in MTV Crib style. Yeah, I sometimes think about making funnier videos, but I never do. Thanks for the hangout. See you next time. Loved it. Had fun. Hand over stick to Frank. Yeah, sure. If he's streaming after this, I'll join. Definitely. So, but Frank was here, so I don't know. It was cool he was here, though. Okay, nice 4 tracks. Okay, well, then maybe we'll do this again sometime, because this takes me a lot less time to set up than doing an actual project and stuff like that. So, great stream. Love the short tutorial videos, but it is great to have the time every so often to live chat. Okay, sure. Okay, well, that's enough for me. Thank you for watching, and see you guys back in the Frank and Dr. Z streams and on videos and Discord and all those things. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.